What if War of the Worlds happened during Captain America's Civil War? What if there was a crossover between two universes? In this fanfiction, the War of the Worlds timeline happened during the events of Civil War, and these two plots were combined. How would this play out in both the MCU and War of the Worlds timeline? Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into this video. General Thunderbolt Ross informed the Avengers that the United Nations were preparing to pass the Sokovia Accords. What happened in Lagos, Nigeria, the United States felt that the Avengers needed to be kept in check. Tony agreed with the plans because of the creation of Ultron that destroyed Sokovia. Steve Rogers, meanwhile, disagreed as he rather believed in the institution than the false lies of the politicians. King T'Chaka was killed in the bombings at the UN conference in Vienna. As the security footage showed that Bucky Barnes was responsible for the bombings, a manhunt for him was launched. A chase between Bucky, Steve, and Wilson and the local authorities began. Meanwhile, somewhere in New Jersey, Mariana's dropped her two kids off, Rachel and Robbie, at Ray Ferris's house. She was on her way to visit her parents in Boston. Just then, a strange storm occurred when multiple lightning strikes rained down on the town. It caused an EMP that instantly fried all of the electronic devices. The people of New Jersey were in panic, where they saw massive tripod war machines emerging from the ground. The tripods started to use powerful energy weapons to destroy the neighborhood. Ray started fleeing away from the scene as he watched most of the other folks disintegrate into gray ash. Rogers and Wilson, meanwhile, went rogue as Bucky told them about Zemo's doings behind the bombing in Vienna. Steve recruited Wanda, Clint, and Ant-Man to their team. They were intercepted by Tony's team, which had Natasha, T'Challa, War Machine, Vision, and Spider-Man. As the two sides clashed, a powerful lightning strike came down in the middle of the airport. They originally thought that Thor's arrived, but the lightning struck at the same time at multiple places at once. A final lightning bolt hit the airport and caused an EMP blast. This destroyed War Machine, Tony, Ant-Man, and Vision. As they all had some sort of electronic gear or gadget in them, they were unable to fight. Steve decided to take the opportunity to flee with Bucky, but they soon realized the ground began cracking open. The tripod machines appeared from the ground and started blasting at them. Rogers used his shield to deflect the damage from the tripod machines. Tony was unable to do anything with the suit and decided to go offline with it. Steve told the others that they needed to put their differences aside while they figure out what was going on. Spider-Man swung towards the tripod and webbed it. Cap, meanwhile, threw his shield at the machine's leg. The machine was unable to operate and fell to the ground. Before the machine was able to shoot another beam at them, Wanda used her telekinesis and tore apart the machine. Everyone was shocked at the sight of this machine. The door of the machine opened and Tony went to inspect it. There he saw an alien whose body was already sliced in half. He deduced that it was mostly probably caused by Wanda's attack. Natasha then said that there was reports of these machines emerging from the ground all over the world. The machines were razing buildings and killing the civilians. Realizing that now was not a good time to squabble over the Sokovia Accords, all of the heroes decided to work together as a team, reforming the Avengers. Back in New Jersey, Ray stole a van from the local mechanic before heading into town. At Marianne's empty home in New Jersey, they heard a strange, powerful noise, followed by an explosion. Ray and Robbie discovered a Boeing 747 had crashed into the neighborhood. Ray then met a news team that were scavenging the wreckage for food. One of the reporters told Ray that these machines were emerging from all across the world. She said that in Europe, one of the machines attacked the Avengers, but was being taken care of. However, they could not gain any more additional scope on it as the EMP had caused all the electronic devices to malfunction. Based on the last thing she heard, the Avengers were already dispatched to aid the other cities in need. Ray said that they heard of the Avengers, but thought they were just a bunch of misfits in costumes. Back in Europe, Tony restored his suits after the EMP attack. Ant-Man, War Machine, and Vision were also able to operate as usual. From the news, most of the United States and Asia were under attack. There were only a few cities in Europe under attack. Tony and the rest knew that this wasn't an attack of a terrorist, nor Zemo's doing, especially after they saw a dead alien emerging from the tripod. The Avengers also noted that the aliens had a shield barrier around them that absorbed their grenades or bullets. This meant that War Machine, Clint, and Natasha were rendered useless for the battle. The only way to defeat them is to cripple them in combat. But with more cities getting destroyed, the Avengers needed to act fast. Black Panther said that he will return to Wakanda first. He will rally his troops to aid the other cities under attack. Black Panther added that Wakanda will no longer be hidden in the shadows, especially in critical times like this. Tony, War Machine, and Spider-Man went to the other states in the USA to aid the others. Tony said that he will try to look for the weakness of these machines so they can eliminate all of them once and for all. He said that the machines seem to have been buried underground for thousands of years. Tony also observed that the lightning storms created a way for the aliens to enter the surface of Earth into the machines. If there was a way where they could perhaps find the mothership, just like what they did in 2012 during Loki's invasion, perhaps the entire attack could be stopped. Steve, Wanda, Vision, Bucky, and Natasha traveled together to Boston, as the attacks that happened there were to be worse. Ant-Man and Falcon were dispatched to Central Asia. As Steve's team arrived in Boston, they saw that the civilians were trying to get into the Hudson River ferry. They noted that the ferry could carry more passengers, but the ferry was told to depart. Steve saw some of the refugees clinging onto the ferry board. Ray's son, Robbie, went to help the other passengers on the ferry. Steve then went onto the ferry and told them to turn back. He said that more refugees can still be brought in. The captain on the ferry originally refused, but when he saw the other Avengers with him, he allowed another 150 more refugees onto the ship. Just then, one tripod machine emerged from the river. Bucky started firing at the machine, but the bullets were rendered useless. Vision flew towards the tripod and punched it. Being knocked backwards, the tripod realized that it had faced a great threat to its plans. It wanted to alarm the other tripods of such a threat, but Vision used the Mind Stone to channel a powerful laser blast and destroyed the tripod. Wanda saw more tripods were landing. She and Vision decided to take care of it, while Steve, Natasha, and Bucky brought the refugees who were under attack to safety. The US Marines were not obligated as in the original War of the Worlds timeline, as the Avengers were here to aid them. Robbie did not join the US Marines this time, but was united with his dad and Rachel. They went to safety where they were offered shelter by a deranged man named Harlan. Tony then contacted Captain America to inquire how they were going to get to their side. Steve replied that while Wanda and Vision were destroying most of the machines, they seemed to be endless and useless, and unless they can think of something quick, it will be soon before the heroes would be overpowered. Tony said that he has sent War Machine and Spider-Man to control the threat of the machines in Washington, while Tony himself acquired some samples of the tripod and the aliens themselves. He said that they needed some time to analyze them to determine their weakness. As Robbie was with both Rachel and Ray in this fanfiction timeline, the deranged man did not attempt to do anything stupid. After half a day, they soon discovered red-colored vegetation across the landscape. Tony contacted Captain America and told him that the red vegetation was a food source for the aliens. Its color is red as it uses human blood and tissue to fertilize the alien vegetation. Tony said that he tried to inject the aliens with the organisms to act as parasites and the aliens were instantly killed. He said that he believes that the aliens will soon die out of the living microbes on Earth. Tony was creating a generator that could unleash these microbes into the air. As humans already gained natural immunity from these microbes, they will not be harmed by this, but the aliens, on the other hand, were not used to it. He needed time before the generator was complete. The crazy man eventually met his doom as he tried to attack one of the alien probes that entered the basement, but were killed by it. Ray, Rachel, and Robbie stuck together. However, a second tripod probe caught Rachel when they were sleeping. Ray and Robbie rushed to the tripod to save them, but their efforts were in vain. Steve, who was in the region when the Avengers saw Rachel was being abducted by the aliens, he threw a shield cutting the alien tentacle, while Wanda used her telekinesis to bring her to safety. Robbie and Ray thanked the Avengers as Steve Rogers and the rest took down the tripod. Ray said that he didn't expect the Avengers to be real or even deal with such a threat. Rogers merely replied that this is what heroes do. The next day, Tony's generator was already created, and he used his drones to carry it across the sky. As Tony unleashed the microbes, which would feel like a cold mist to normal humans, the alien vegetation begins to deteriorate and the tripod started to collapse. Other tripods were weakened and allowed the soldiers to use their anti-tank missiles to destroy them for good. The alien invasion had ended, but the damage was finished. Ant-Man and Falcon returned from their mission in Asia and reunited with the other Avengers. Rachel, Ray, and Robbie were reunited with Marianne and her parents. They were glad that it finally was finished, and they thanked the Avengers. After the alien invasion, Bucky was brought to Wakanda for a cryogenic sleep until a cure for his brainwashing is found. Tony never knew about Bucky's assassination of his parents, while Baron Zemo was captured by the authorities. The Avengers remained together, although there was a rift at the beginning. The Sokovia Accords were abolished, as the Avengers had helped to save an alien threat that was on the brink of Earth's destruction. Several months later, some battleships were in sight to arrive in New York, the arrival of the Mad Titan and his armies. But this time, the Avengers were united and more than ready to fight him. This was a very different request, but it was requested for a very, very long time. You wouldn't believe. There was a certain subscriber that had wanted me to make this for so long, and I would finally give him his wish and finally finish this movie mashup fan fiction. That being said, if you guys want to see your fan fictions be made, I will do them. A lot of the time, I'm not usually doing a lot of requests. Sometimes I'm doing my own thing, but it really depends. It all depends on what you guys want. That being said, this is the place to subscribe for all of the fan fiction content. If you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to share, like, and subscribe, as I will be doing more. That being said, take care and have a fantastic day.